Hi, and welcome back to Alisia's Place. I'm Alisia, a licensed massage therapist and neuromuscular practitioner. Today's topic, as we've started in on this, education about what is actually going on with the body. So, we've been talking about chronic pain. Yesterday, I kind of started to plant the seed about low back pain and how low back pain is actually coming from a variety of things. Okay, so yesterday we did talk about how low back pain is coming from, so many different areas. One of them can be your internal organs. Now, today's question that I'll be answering and going over is, when is low back pain serious? So, there's the typical kind of like when you've been doing a lot, you're on the go, and you may get a twinge or something in your back versus, you've been doing this job all these years and either your body is just at a point where it's done doing that job, so it starts to create tension or hold on to tension, which then turns into symptoms of low back pain and lumbago. Okay, and so I know I mentioned some of the muscles yesterday. We are going to actually go to the charts here in just a moment and talk about it in depth, but a few of the muscles that are actually going to be causing low back pain and even pain into the sacrum and the sciatic nerve area, okay, into the buttocks. So low back pain is going to be caused by either trigger points, fatigue, weakness, underuse of these muscles. So gluteus medius, iliopsoas, longissimus thoracis, iliocostalis lumborum, iliocostalis thoracis, multifidi, rectus abdominis. Now that one is a really surprising one that a lot of people don't think about. They kind of overlook the fact that if the abdominal muscles, especially the rectus abdominis, is in trouble, meaning, it's not functioning properly, in the fact that there's either like added adipose in the front on the belly. There could also just be injury, and then also that visceral pain, the organs within. Other muscles that are going to also be causing low back pain are going to be the longissimus thoracis, iliocostalis lumborum, which I kind of said those already, so that's why there's a lot of kind of crossover. Quadratus lumborum, which is a really one that I feel gets overlooked when doing body work. The piriformis is very famous for causing or contributing to sciatica pain. So a lot of times, people have heard the symptoms. It's a burning, shooting, it's a sensation going down the leg, and we're also going to look at that as well, because there's trigger points that mimic those symptoms. You also have the gluteus medius, the gluteus maximus, levator ani, coccygealis. A lot of those are going to be more pelvic floor muscles. Obturator internus, gluteus minimus, sphincter ani, and the soleus. Now, it's when we say that everything is connected, literally everything is connected. I want to say I mentioned it yesterday that the low back pain could actually be coming from your feet or from your lower legs, and that's because of the soleus. The soleus is a muscle that does about 85 to 90% of all of your activities where you're walking and maybe even light jogging or speed walking. The gastrocs, which I feel get the most attention and kind of overshadow the soleus, the gastrocs are more fast. They're more of a, they respond with like a burst of energy versus a long and steady like the soleus. But let's go ahead and head over to the charts and see the trigger points that are actually causing or can be contributing to your lower back pain. All right, so we're here at the charts, and I love having these in my office because it gives a good visual and helps me to, like, I understand it, but I need my patient to also understand what's going on with their body, why they're having these issues, and how can we start to address them and resolve them. Now, one big one, again, another one that, as I'm looking at it right now, that does get overlooked is the iliopsoas, because as you can see, there's trigger points, so the little X's. So typically when we're doing trigger point work, and you're studying trigger point work, it's going to have the X's. Some charts may not have the X's. The X's are not indefinite, like there's only those areas, like the whole muscle, but typically those are the areas that can be reached. So that's kind of why there's that. But look at here. So, this is a very common area that people will be pointing out that they have low back pain. And it's actually possible that it's coming from that iliopsoas, as we can see there. And then as we go up, the iliocostalis thoracis, and we also have a picture here kind of giving us a good kind of layout of what's going on underneath all of the muscles that are lying on top of them that frequently people think is causing the back pain or even the shoulder pain. We won't talk much about shoulders today. We'll get into that another time. But again, iliocostalis lumborum, longissimus thoracis, the multifidi. Okay, and so the multifidi are part of the deep paraspinal muscles. So these are the ones that are deep, the closest to the spine and the spinal column. Unlike over here, where we had the superficial, those are going to be the ESGs that I mentioned in yesterday's video. So like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, rectus abdominis. So rectus abdominis, as you can see, it clearly, people come in and they're like, I feel it right here. And it's possible that they have that trigger point in the lower part of their rectus abdominis. And I feel like whenever a person is describing their low back pain, they also kind of throw in the mid back. And as we can see here, clearly there's a mid back correlating with that trigger point. Okay. And it could also be coming around the front, as we see here. And that's the side of the liver as well. So it's kind of, that's why I mentioned in a few videos ago that the liver, it'll start talking to different areas of the body. And a lot of times when we find trigger points here on the abdomen, it corresponds to something going on in the back. Now, I didn't go too much over the multifidi, but it's common. I'm finding that people are coming in with tailbone pain, And I mean, it's even, you can see a low back situation as well, kind of that same area, okay? And it is showing the cervical multifidi, but we'll talk about that when we talk about shoulders, head and neck. But right now we're focusing on low back pain because this is the industry's biggest, I want to say, money. You know, they're making a lot of money off of you guys, and it can be resolved by helping to communicate with the triggers that are in those muscles and helping to relieve them. All right, so we're back. So as we saw just a moment ago, you know, these muscles can definitely contribute. So when does it get to the point where it's quote unquote serious? From my observation, you know, it really depends on how the back pain came about. So if it is from an injury such as a workers' comp injury, if it's an auto accident injury, if it's a slip and fall injury, any of those, you're going to want to work on kind of having that as part of your recovery, even after you've gone, you know, to the doctor, to the chiropractor, they've put you through these different therapies. You're going to want to work with a medical massage therapist or a neuromuscular therapist to help keep the muscles in balance, okay? So the way to help keep the muscle system in balance is through body work and massage. Now, do all of your sessions have to be, you know, the trigger, because the trigger point work and medical massage, it can hurt because we're literally having to go in and almost do like surgery in a sense, but without cutting open the skin. So we're essentially affecting, you know, those internal muscles, everything under the skin. No, all of your sessions do not have to be so clinical. There are milestones. So when you hit certain milestones, especially for me in my practice, as you hit certain milestones, then I begin to incorporate more spa techniques to help balance the work. That's why I do offer both. Now, if you are just wanting to come in for spa, that's totally fine, you know, but kind of my main work and my main purpose is to help take you from being in so much chronic pain, you know, having to take things that you don't really want to take or that interfere with your digestive system, you know, to where you don't need that stuff. You're able to sustain, you know, through your diet, through your activity, and you have your mobility and your function back. A lot of people, you know, can be a little weary of it because, you know, they may have gone to someone who does deep tissue and had a bad experience, or they've gone to some type of massage parlor and didn't really have a good experience. Now, not to say, you know, my place is the one and only place. There's a lot of other really good therapists out there. You just have to search for them because, you know, I don't plan for everybody to come to see me. But if you are in my area, I would like to work with you and help you out, like I've said before. And, you know, it's really just interesting speaking to a lot of people that are going through that. And I myself, you know, having gone through that through a few different accidents and things that I've gone through, like I know 1 year is not long enough for the body to fully heal. Like, a lot of the layers have healed, but there's still a lot of kind of like the sub portion of the scar, or the sub portion of the injury, that needs to be healed. And that's kind of where trigger points like to hide, deep in the muscle. They haven't quite got the signal that they don't have to be hanging on so tight. So yeah, it's all about working with the therapist that you feel comfortable with, and getting the actual help that you need, versus having to resort to surgery. It feels very devastating a little bit when a patient has told me, like, yeah, I've had 5 surgeries, and it's kind of like, 5? Like, why are you having that many surgeries? And they didn't solve the pain. It's almost like they added to it, because now the procedure of the surgery has added to the sensitivity of that area. I don't know. I'm not a surgeon, but it just seems a little high to have to do surgery, especially on like the same body area more than one time. I always encourage people to leave surgery as the very, very, very last resort. Because 9 times out of 10 there is something that you can do, but it does take you, not me, not anybody, like, it does take you to stay committed to your healing journey. And I believe I spoke a little bit about juicing, but juicing is going to be one of the best ways to subside and put out inflammation, because inflammation is basically an irritation in the body that's causing, it also will cause pain and discomfort. So yeah, back to the question of when is it important, or when, let's see, how did I write it? When is low back pain serious? I would honestly say when it affects your mobility, it affects your everyday life. When you're walking so stiff as a board, that you can barely function. You're no longer having fun with life. Like, that's really the part of what I want to help do as well, is to help get you back to the status of, hey, I can go out with my friends, I can go out with my family, I don't have to say no, I don't have to pass events or fun things that come. I can actually go and do that. Like that, plus a lot of people have certain hobbies, and when you get injured, the hobbies kind of go to the wayside. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, I used to do that, I used to be able to do that. And I want to start helping people to say, yeah, I went through such and such, but working at it and giving myself the time and space to heal, I was able to, such and such. I was able to enjoy roller skating again. I was able to ride a bike for the first time again, and not feel the pain. So that's my goal, and I'm not gonna ramble because certain ideas start coming to my head, but I'll just stop here. I wish you guys a great day, and if you are experiencing low back pain, hip pain, like if you're feeling where that pain is going down into the hips, down into the front of the leg, the back of the leg, if you're anything, but this series we are focusing on low back pain, but if you are having pains of the shoulder, hand, foot, I also help with that as well. We'll be talking about those body areas in other videos. So I wish you well, in your journey of healing. And I will check you guys out on the next one. And the website before I go is aliciasplace.com. Peace.